Divorced men of Reddit, what moment with your former wife made me think yup, I'm asking this girl to divorce me? When she staged a robbery of our house so she could pawn all of my crap for drug money. My wife was around less and less, had to be free to live her life, go out with her friends. More often than not she would call me to pick our daughter up from daycare. After promising to pick her up and have some girl time, just tell her I'm working late or not feeling well. She always had something better to do and the kids were old enough to know better. I went to pick our daughter up one day. When they called her name she came running over until she saw it wasn't mom. Again, slumped her shoulders and slowly walked over to ask what's her excuse this time. That was the breaking point. Told her to get out, even helped pay her security deposit to get her out. I was a lance corporal bringing home scraps for a paycheck to an unemployed wife who one day brought home a brand new Lexus 350 because she got a good deal on it. Apparently I was supposed to pay the $800 mobile. I didn't think it was a good deal. When my buddies approached me to complain that she kept sitting on their laps, wiggling, and hoping for an erection. You have some good buddies, man. Not me, but one of my best friends. Got his permission to post. He got a pretty substantial year-end bonus from work. He decided to use most of it for his wife's Christmas gift and pay off her remaining student loans. $14,700. And the remaining portion to buy a new computer chair for when he gamed. $300. Christmas morning, he was nice enough to let me stay at his place when I traveled for work as he lived 20 minutes from the airport. We all woke up and had breakfast. His family and her parents came over and we started exchanging gifts. Besides paying off her loans, he had gotten her a few times items. She opened the card saying her loans were paid off. She just sat there for a minute. After the silence, and assuming she was kinda in shock, she asked, "Did you seriously not get me anything else? I bought you that stupid keyboard, the wrong one BTW, and you only got me a few things?" At that point, his brother-in-law and myself decided to go hang out in another room for a while. They ended up getting into a huge fight. A day later when he was dropping me off at the airport he told me that he was going to visit a lawyer and get a divorce. Dude, that sucks. When she falsely told our marriage counselor that I punched her, the next week, she denied saying it and accused our counselor of lying. He gave me a "you should leave this relationship" look. I took that look as permission from a professional that I definitely wasn't making the wrong decision. Got divorced and never looked back. I legitimately feared for my safety towards the end. Not that she would hurt me, but that she would make a false accusation to the cops or a crazy friend. This makes me wonder, are marriage counselors allowed to be a witness in a divorce trial? She let me know she was pregnant and wanted my permission to tell all her girlfriends during a girls' night out. Since I knew there was no possible way it was my child, she was also unknowingly admitting to having an affair. I can math, and she can't. It was with her boss, lawyered up the next day, and he ate her alive in court. I got primary custody of our child we already had, and child support, and a sheriff's notice that she had to vacate my home in 30 days. I never knew she could be that stupid. When a friend's wife said to me, "You know your wife is sleeping with my husband." That's a pickup line if I ever knew one. The morning I saw a picture of some dude's dong on her phone, she was classy enough to bring him to the divorce proceedings. Your Honor, I would like to present Exhibit D into evidence. When my stepdaughter became a teenager, my ex ramped up the nutso. She had always been an impatient, angry screamer of a parent. But as my stepdaughter became a young woman, my ex just went crazy with envy or something. I know lots of moms have a hard time with teenage daughters, but their base level patience is so much better than my ex's was. Threats of cutting hair in middle of night while daughter slept, pulling hair, slapping face, ridiculing in front of her friends, swinging something that missed and put a hole in the wall. I was out with the kids. She made me watch Oprah and there was a quiz, "Is your marriage okay or not?" type thing. In my head I saw 7 or 10 items that were not okay. She didn't see any. We had already been to counseling. I was working on a mother-daughter scrapbook as a Christmas present for her. Was going through her Google Photos account looking for pics of them together. Came across a selfie she took with some dude laying on her. Confirmed her second affair. Knew it was over the moment I saw it. That has fricked me up pretty good. Oof. I've read most of these answers and this one hits me especially hard. Sorry dude. We flew across the country for her sister's wedding. She didn't say a word to me the entire time since we had parked at the airport. Once we landed at our destination, we walked to baggage claim. Absolute silence preceding for several hours now. At the carousel, I picked up her bag when she took it out of my hand and calmly stated, "None of my family knows you're here." I told them I came alone. She walked out of the airport and left me there. Narcissistic personality disorder made for some really fun scenarios. Oh man, I would have crashed the absolute frick out of that wedding. Because, honestly, unless the rest of the family already sees through her bulls, they'd be on her side over yours anyway. Blaze of glory it. During the last year and a half of our marriage she became extremely psychologically abusive. She was a narcissist, controlled my every move, would isolate me, refused physical contact. I was just an extension to her life, was not allowed to talk to any female, was not allowed to hang out with any friends or she would ignore me for up to 5 days at a time. Double standards everywhere, verbal abuse and the list can continue but it hurts to think about. The last straw for me was when she threatened to kill me because I came home from work late even though she knew I would be home late. It was just a little too late for her and she also threatened to hit me the same day. This was the second time this happened and I talked with several people at work about it and they suggested that I run. I had texts of the threats on my phone and contacted a lawyer that same week. She agreed to sign since I told her I would take severe legal action if she didn't. Thankfully no children and it was a clean divorce and I'm happily divorced. Holy crap dude. I used to love to do chores for her because she loved being taken care of. When she stopped noticing, it started hurting. Then one day I made a bench for our entryway out of barnwood. Took about 40 hours of work. She walked in the house after work that day and sat her purse on it and proceeded to start the fight where she told me that she was mad she got married to me. She stormed out of the house grabbing her purse. Never noticed the bench was there. I knew then but I think she already knew. This post hit me. I feel so used in my relationship but just cannot leave because of my 3-year-old son. When my 2-year-old was learning to talk he would consistently say another bloke's name. Apparently he was there the moment I left for work till when I got home. Single dad for 5 years with primary custody now. Finding her on Christmas Eve, still sexting a co-worker whom she claimed she was no longer in contact with, having been busted sexting him previously. Also, I cleared out of there like a blackjack dealer. Ho ho ho. When I, as the only earner in the house, was denied buying a new pair of work boots in December because she needed the money to buy vaccines for the puppies. She bred dogs as a hobby. I was a framing carpenter in Ohio. My current work boots were toast holes in both. No soles. I needed them. Her puppy vaccine story was bulls. Her hobby was dogs. But she was a pro at popping pills. That's what she needed the money for. I was done with her by March. When, after being in Afghanistan for 8 months, May 2002 November 2002, she was missing, had my car, finding 2 random women with kids and pets living in the apartment I paid for, the electricity cut off, no money in my bank account, a pay advance authorized by my commander, and a friend telling me to go easy on her because she was 5 months pregnant with his kid. Oh, and he had had heart surgery to remove some kind of cysts from his heart just before I left. He was 23, had a pacemaker, and basically half a heart. If I scared him, he could die. I'd say that was the moment. I hope you snuck up behind him and popped an inflated paper bag real aggressive like. I found out she cheated on me, and upon me confronting her to discuss it, she manipulated me into thinking she was suicidal. Then she admitted the manipulation. Done. She may have once been a nice person. That's all gone now. My neighbor's wife screaming putana downstairs after she caught my bride and her husband fricking in front of the fireplace. This happened to one of my parents' friends. Both couples did a swap and are now happily married. When she moved out while I was camping with 2 of our sons and there was no discussion of whether her leaving was permanent or potentially temporary in her view. When I saw the text from her lover that said something to the effect of "I miss your dong in my ass," and I rubbed one out in the gym shower thinking of you. B never sent me texts like that in 10 years of marriage. Still have the text saved somewhere in a divorce file. This was not the first affair, but it was the one that finished it for me. Not a wife but a fiancé. Just called it off because we were house hunting and she kept wanting to look at houses that would accommodate an extra permanent guest, her estranged father whom she was wanting to reinitiate ties with, but wouldn't admit to it. Found out from a buddy that she was wanting me to lay out the money for the down payment and then was going to break it off herself and fight like heck to keep the house to herself. 2 years down the drain, but a lifetime of a fortunate near miss. When she said, "You didn't pray hard enough and that's why our son has cancer. That's why I'm sleeping with my prayer partner." That woman takes the cake for queen of rationalizations. I endured a physically, emotionally, and mentally abusive relationship for over 6 years with my first wife, 4 of which we were married. There were many instances that should have caused our marriage's demise. The proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, though, was 8 days after I had major oral surgery. Due to a freak medical occurrence, I had to have 28 teeth cut out and 2 holes drilled into my sinus cavities from top of the back of my gums. She and I were in a grocery store parking lot, and I asked her not to start an argument in the store because it's a small town and I was so tired of being those people. Her reaction was to backhand me in the mouth. 6 times. Or at least I counted 6 times because I'm pretty dang sure I lost consciousness. I just remember waking up when we were pulling into our driveway while she's freaking out because my face is against the window and blood is coming from my mouth like a fountain. She is a bee. I left for work at 6 AM and forgot to unplug the toaster. When I arrived home at 6 PM, I was given the "everything you've ever done to tee me off" speech just for leaving the toaster plugged in. I asked her what she did all day that prevented her from unplugging it herself. Another "I'm in butthole" speech. I said something to the effect of "quit acting like your freaking mother." She threw the cat at me. A cat. She threw a freaking cat at me. Our daughter at 3 years old told us to stop yelling. I was at work and got a call from my grandparents that she had shot our dog, Zoe, that was laying on the bed with her. We were separated before that for other reasons, but that's when I ponied up a few grand and went to an attorney to file. I really miss her. The dog, I mean. We had a trial separation and lived apart for a month. During this time I vented off some of my frustrations to one of my best friends. Come to find out said friend was fricking my wife behind my back. They both attempted to manipulate my emotions so that I wouldn't think anything suspicious, but goddamn my intuition always had my back. Always trust your gut, folks, even when your head isn't where it should be. When we went on a family vacation and I hoped she'd sleep the entire time so I could have fun with our son. My sister said something similar about her ex. He had to go out of town for a business trip and she found that being a single parent was less work than having him be around. Then he fricked one of her friends, and her first thought was finally an excuse to kick him out. Like any self-respecting YouTube channel, we have a sponsor, Honey. Honey is a free browser extension that automatically finds the best promo codes whenever you shop online. This means you always get the best deals without even trying on over 37,000 sites such as Amazon, eBay, Azos, Urban Outfitters, Papa John's, Groupon, and more. So go hop on your browser, go to joinhoney.com/updoot and get honey with 2 clicks. You'll thank me later. You're literally leaving money on the table if you don't use honey. No, go out there and have a beautiful day with all that sweet money you are going to save.